All right, so you should have completed A1.2, and what we're going to do is move from this sort of material to an assembly. So basically we're going to put in the walls, floors, and ceiling assemblies and do little details of them to sort of move through this process from material to assembly. So let's go ahead and get started. If you're in your project, the first thing you want to do is make sure your sheets are expanded and go to your A2 sheets and go to your A2 assemblies. And so what you're going to do first is pick a wall and a ceiling floor assembly. So we're going to use one wall assembly. I picked one here. You can pick any of the ones below. And then I picked a ceiling floor assembly here. But we'll use that when we get to the ceiling floor assembly. But right now let's go ahead and work on the slab. Like the base, we're just going to say is a 6-inch slab. It's not going to have a basement below it, so it'll be pretty straightforward. So we'll go ahead and start with that. So let's go ahead and go there. So if I go to my 2.1 assemblies file, right, you should have something that looks like this, these little inch things. And the first thing I want to do is create the slab that's below the floor and then adjust the existing floor to the correct depth. So to get the depth of the floor, I'm going to go to my A1 floor, right? And you can see in here that it's 0.2 inches. And from my installation sheets, they recommend a 1/4 inch backer. And I think that would be nice, especially on a concrete floor. It gives it a little bit more resilient feel. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with that. So I'll go back to my A2.1. And there's a couple of ways you can work in this. You can actually double click on this view. What we're doing is pretty simple. So if you double click, you'll be able to access things inside the view. If you double click outside, it'll take you back to the sheet. Or you can expand your sheet and it'll show you all the views, and you can actually double click on this section and it'll actually just bring you into that view. So you can work either way. I tend to work in the section views. So the first thing I'm going to do is pick the floor and make it the correct depth. So if you pick it and go to edit type, you can edit the structure. And here is the, it's just the structure is actually the carpet, which is a little weird. So what we want to do is add that substrate in here and then maybe push the carpet up and make it a finish. So I'm just going to left click on this 2 here and duplicate that. And then I'm going to take this top one and push it up, and it's going to take it outside the core boundary. And I'm going to change that to 0.2 inches, right? And then change it from structure to finish 2, which is an interior finish. And then I'll come in and change this guy from the flow text material, and I'm just going to change it to plywood. Right, so we'll just use plywood sheathing for this, and it's such an ugly color, just going to make it gray. Doesn't really matter. And then click OK, and make that a 1/4 inch because that'll be my underlayment. Right, and we can always come back and update this material later if needed. And so once I get that, I'm just going to click OK, and you're going to see that it's this weird depth of 115, 256. You could round that up. That's because of the 0.2 inches and the translation from metric, but just remember that 115, 256. And then I'll click OK. And then I want to set the finished floor at the same level as the thickness of the carpet and the underlayment. So I'm just going to slow double click on this, and of course it was 115, 256, right? So 115, 256, and that'll push that up to that level. And you'll see that this floor moves with it because it's actually hosted to that level, and then it sits on the top of slab. So a lot of these things in construction are really important. Where is the top of your structural slab? And then your floor is going to go on top of that. Okay, so now when we come back, we'll put in the slab below.